Are you looking to move to Los Angeles, California, and trying to figure out which area is the right fit for you? Well, in this video, I'll be talking about a neighborhood called El Sereno. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into what it's like living here day to day, some of its history, and what home prices look like. Now, first off, let's start by discussing the name, El Sereno. The name was officially adopted back in 1917, and it literally means the serene or quiet place, which is still a good fit for how it's like today. El Sereno sits right between Alhambra and South Pasadena. The city boundaries actually have not changed too much over the years. It's really just been its own unique pocket or neighborhood. El Sereno used to be more than just one neighborhood. It actually was made up of four smaller communities called Rose Hill, Beardstown, Farmdale, and Sierra Vista. Each of them were surrounded by its own school, hence why the area feels very close-knit and family-oriented. The neighborhood has a lot of rich history and it dates back a long time. When the Spanish settlers arrived, the land was home to a Native American village called, and forgive me if I say it wrong, Atsunga, which means place of roses. Later on during the Spanish era, the Portola expedition passed through in 1769 and noted the abundance of water and natural forage the area had. Thanks to the Arroyo Rosa de Castilla, that stream actually still runs beneath parts of the neighborhood today, even though you don't see it above ground in most places. The land eventually became part of the San Gabriel Mission holdings, and then the Rancho Rosa de Castilla in the early 1800s. By the mid 1800s, the Batts family took over and ran a massive sheep and cattle ranch here for decades long. Modern El Sereno really started to take shape once the Pacific Electric Railway came through. Huntington Drive became a major red car route connecting downtown Los Angeles to Pasadena. At the time, the area was known as Bairdstown, named after developer George Baird, before changing into the city of Los Angeles in 1915. During the World War II, the neighborhood grew really quickly. Workers moved in to be closer to aircraft and munitions factories, and many Italian American families settled here during that time period. Then, in 1948, after restrictive housing covenants were lifted by the Supreme Court, El Sereno saw a major influx of Mexican American families from Lincoln Heights and Boyle Heights. That shift really shaped the identity you still feel today. There are also some great local landmarks that longtime residents take pride in. For example, the Woodrow Wilson High School, home of the Mighty Mules, is a big one. In the 1970s, the football team, led by legendary coach Vic Cuccia, went on a 39-game winning streak that people here still talk about. And believe it or not, in 1979, President Jimmy Carter actually stayed overnight at a home on Rhonda Drive and went for a jog on the Wilson High School track. El Sereno also had its own entertainment hub back in the day. For example, the Cameo Theater was built in 1924, and the Mazatlan Theater was from the 1940s. These were community gathering places long before streaming movies was a thing. Today, living in El Sereno still feels very calm. It's historically been a working class, ethnically diverse neighborhood, and that really hasn't changed much. What has changed is that more people are starting to notice it, especially when it comes to buyers who want hillside views, homes that have more character, and a little bit more space without paying for South Pasadena prices. One thing people always ask about is what day-to-day life in El Sereno actually feels like. And that's where this neighborhood really stands out. Most of El Sereno is very much residential. There's not much heavy foot traffic or constant noise, especially once you get into the hillside streets. It's the kind of place where neighbors know each other, People walk their dogs in the evenings, and weekends feel noticeably slower compared to more commercial areas nearby. Parking is also a really big topic, and honestly, it's more manageable here than in a lot of surrounding neighborhoods. Many homes have driveways or garages, which is a huge plus, and even street parking tends to be easier on the quieter residential blocks, especially compared to Highland Park or Echo Park. From a location standpoint, El Sereno is pretty convenient without feeling hectic. You're pretty close to major routes like Huntington Drive and the 710 freeway, which makes getting to downtown LA, Pasadena, Alhambra, or South Pasadena fairly easy. A lot of residents work in those areas, and they really like how they can get where they need to go without living right in the middle of the city. For everyday needs, most people are not walking to everything, but you're never too far away from essential items. Grocery stores, local shops, and family run restaurants are just a short drive away, and many residents split their time between Alhambra, Monterey Park, and Pasadena when it comes to dining and errands. It's very common for people living in El Sereno to say they love the neighborhood itself, but also love how close they are to so many different areas. And then there's the outdoor lifestyle. Because of the hills and open space, El Sereno has a surprisingly outdoorsy feel. Places like Ascot Hills Park are a big part of daily life for a lot of residents, whether that's morning walks, sunset hikes, or taking in the views. Because of the hills, on a clear day you can see everything from Catalina Island all the way to Mount Baldy. That's something a lot of people don't expect, especially when they first come to the city. You also have solid public resources. The El Sereno Branch Library has been around since the late 1950s, and the El Sereno Recreation Center, which is historically known as the Plunge, has long been a community hub thanks to its pools and programs. There are also small hidden details that most people miss. For example, being able to spot sections of the old Arroyo Rosa de Castilla when you're entering the 710 South near Valley Boulevard. In terms of real estate, El Sereno is often talked about as a value neighborhood, but it's important to put that into perspective. As of late 2025, the average home value here is around $753,000, which is actually down slightly from the year before. Rents average just under $1,900 compared to nearby areas like South Pasadena, where prices are well over $1.6 million, or Highland Park, which is over a million. El Sereno is still more attainable when it comes to prices. However, at the same time, it is priced higher than Lincoln Heights and Boyle Heights, reflecting the hillside lots, views, and housing inventory. Architecturally, you'll see a lot of early craftsman and period revival homes from the 1920s, mixed with mid-century builds that came later as the neighborhood grew. So if you're someone who values history, community, views, and a more residential feel without being too far from downtown, Pasadena, or the East Side, El Sereno is one of those neighborhoods that deserves a closer look. If you're thinking about moving to Los Angeles and want to learn more about what it's like living here, feel free to watch my other videos where I explore different areas in and around Los Angeles.